Hello, everybody, and welcome to session 2 of the Facebook Live cooking series. So I can't believe it's already been a week since we did our last session, but once again, I'm, back set up, ready to do this, and I'm also really excited to make this peach crisp. So, if you can't tell today, we are talking about peaches. So last week we were talking about pumpkin, this week we're talking about peaches. Peaches are one of those fruits that I feel like a lot of people skip out on cooking on just because they don't have a lot of recipes that really, incorporate peaches. Whereas that, should be false because there are so many good things you can make peaches with. So there are a lot of good benefits to peaches. So peaches have no cholesterol or sodium, which means they are healthy for your heart. They are high in vitamin C, which means they are going to lead to a better immune system. They're high in vitamin A, which is going to improve your vision. And they're also high in fiber, which is going to decrease your risk for colon cancer. So just like last week, once again, I'm going to ask you, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you incorporating more peaches in your diet? So I already kind of gave it away a little bit earlier, but we are doing peach crisps today. And I can tell you it smells absolutely phenomenal. It's been quite torturous to smell this without being able to eat it in my house. So, kind of like last week, we're going to go through the ingredients real quick just to get an idea of what you can look forward to. In this recipe, we have a half cup of quick cook oats. We have a half a cup of honey sweetened granola. We've got 3 tablespoons of whole wheat flour, a half cup of packed light brown sugar. Now, note that says light. That's going to have less calories in it than your normal brown sugar, so make sure you get light whenever you're out buying this. We've also got a 1/4 cup of butter softened, 6 cups of peaches peeled and sliced, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a 4th teaspoon ground nutmeg, a 4th teaspoon of ground allspice, and last but not least, a 1/4 cup of chopped pecans. Now, I will tell you, if you find that you don't have cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice in your kitchen cabinet, but you do have pumpkin pie spice, you're going to be able to substitute that out easy peasy, because if you don't know, pumpkin pie spice is made of cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice, so it's actually already got all 3 of those ingredients in it. Alright, so just like last time, give me just a moment here and we will get set up with our table cam. Alright, everybody. So, step 1, we are going to mix quite a few of our ingredients here. So we're actually going to take our half cup of quick cook oats, our half cup of honey sweetened granola, our 3 tablespoons of whole wheat flour, and our 1/2 cup of packed light brown sugar. So that's actually all 4 of these ingredients on this side of the table here. So I'm going to go ahead and add those to our mixing bowl. Brown sugar has been a little complicated for me there. Okay, so what I am going to do before we proceed to step 2 is I'm going to give this just a little mix. So kind of like last week, just to go ahead and get a good blend of our dry ingredients, because the next thing we're adding is actually going to be butter. And the last thing I want is a big old clump of our ingredients in one corner of this crisp and to have none of it in the other corner. So I am going to go ahead and make sure it's nice and blended up there. Alright, perfect. So step 2. Alright, so like I already mentioned, we are going to take this 1/4 cup of butter here, and we're actually just going to pour it straight into our dried ingredients. So notice that it says softened, not completely melted. So I did put it in the microwave, I think it was about 15 seconds, but you're going to be able to see clumps of butter here. So it's not completely liquefied. And the reason you want to make sure you don't completely liquefy it is because we're actually currently cutting in butter. So what that's going to do is it's going to give you a really nice flaky crust, because it's actually gonna affect the proteins in your flour, for those of you who like science out there. But there we go. So we are gonna stir that up until the butter is nice and blended through it. Make sure you break up any chunks if you're seeing any like brown sugar chunks. I know it's notorious for clumping up on me. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and go on to step 3. So for step 3, we're actually going to coat an 8x8 cooking dish with cooking spray And then we're going to add our peaches. So you've probably been staring at this lovely, delicious looking bowl of peaches. Now, this recipe does call for fresh peaches. However, I do know time is a commodity, right? I don't have a lot of time. I know you don't have a lot of time. If you do find yourself in a pinch and you want to make this recipe but you can't find good fresh peaches, you can use canned ones. However, please make sure they're canned in water or packed in water. If you get anything canned in like a heavy syrup, it's actually going to add a lot of sugar and calories to your peaches. So it's going to pretty much ruin the nutritious value of them if you get them canned in heavy syrup. So let me go ahead and grab my pan here. All right, and what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and spray that down. You do not want this to stick to your pan. So just give it a quick light coat there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add those peaches now. Just going to give them a quick shake to kind of even it out. Next, we are going to sprinkle the dry ingredients. So those are all the ingredients in this bowl here that we just mixed up over top of our peaches. Now, I am going to take my time while I do this because I do want to get it kind of even. You don't want a huge chunk of crust on one side of this crisp and then to have none on the other. All right. So now that we've got those two main portions in our pan, let's go ahead to step 4. All right, step 4, we are going to add the spices and the chopped nuts. So for the nuts, we do have pecans. If you wanted to substitute that for something else, it would be fine. It's really personal preference. You could also really leave them out. So kind of like last week, if you're not a huge fan of, nuts, it's not going to hurt to leave that out. I know there are a lot of people who do not like nuts on their food. Okay, so we've got the pecans on there, and we're going to go ahead and remember earlier how I said you could use pumpkin pie spice just because it does have all the same ingredients. So now I'm going to go ahead and just evenly distribute all of our spices over top of our peach crisp here. All right, that was easy enough, right? So what if I told you we were actually done? Pretty easy. So now all we have to do is ideally, before you start this, you're going to preheat your oven to 375. But all you're going to do after you get to this point is you're actually just going to take this pan right here and you're going to stick it in your oven. So you're going to cook it for about 20 to 20 or 25 to 30 minutes. And then once it comes out, it will look like this. So as you can see here, this is the peach crisp once it's been cooked. You're going to get a much more darker brown on the top of that dry mixture that we added on there. But I can tell you, it smells absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, it's been really hard not to eat this. Really hard not to eat this. But overall, it's extremely easy to make. It's a good way to eat peaches. Maybe you always make apple crisp and you want to mix it up. This would be a good way to do so. This would also be another dessert, I know Thanksgiving's over, but Christmas is also coming up. Maybe you want to have a nice crisp at your Christmas dinner. This could be it. But anyway, I believe that is actually it. So that was much shorter than last week, but we did have a much easier recipe. So at this time, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and post those in the chat. Oh, hey, Ashley. I just now saw that. Thank you. And tell your mom thank you for watching as well. Nobody has any questions? You all are such an easy audience. Looks really good. I can confirm it is extremely good. Extremely good. It smells amazing. It really does. I can try and I don't know. I could eat the whole pan. I really could. Okay, if nobody has any questions, so just like last week, I am going to ask you to do me a quick favor. So once again, this survey, even if you took it last week, I'm actually going to ask you to take it again because I am doing it for each individual session of this series. So if you liked it, if you want to see more programming like this, if you want to see something different, take that link. click that link and then take the survey. So I am going to go ahead and post it in the chat there. So just follow that link. Please fill it out. It helps me. It helps the University of Kentucky. And, it helps more programming like this happen in the future.